Many people confuse the spark of desire with the fire of love. One burns bright and quickly fades, while the other endures through time, shadow, and change. The question is, can you tell the difference when it happens to you? Depth over appearance is one of the most powerful indicators that what you are experiencing is true love and not merely infatuation. At the core of this idea lies the recognition that attraction based on looks, charm, or superficial qualities may ignite sparks quickly, but it cannot sustain a meaningful connection over time. Infatuation tends to focus on the image a person projects, the way they dress, the way they speak, the way they can make you feel momentarily admired or excited. But true love does not remain on the surface. It penetrates deeper, seeing not only what is visible to the eye, but also what lies behind the eyes, in the heart, in the inner world that many others may overlook. When love is genuine, the external becomes secondary, and the essence of the person becomes the central focus. This depth is not something that happens instantly because it requires patience and attentiveness. When someone is truly in love, they are willing to observe the small details that others miss, the subtle moods, the hidden fears, the unspoken dreams. They are not satisfied with rehearsed conversations or shallow exchanges. Instead, they are drawn toward understanding the truth of the other person. Infatuation often withers when the reality of imperfection shows up. But true love thrives precisely because it recognizes imperfection as part of authenticity. Rather than expecting flawless beauty or constant excitement, real love accepts the quiet, ordinary, and even vulnerable sides of the beloved as part of the whole picture. A relationship rooted in depth rather than appearance grows strong because it is built on genuine knowledge of each other. One person does not simply admire the other from afar or in carefully chosen situations. They know their history, their struggles, their pain, and they still choose to remain present. Infatuation, on the other hand, avoids this kind of weight. It clings to the fantasy that the other person is everything one could ever imagine, but when reality disrupts that fantasy, the intensity fades quickly. True love does not fade with time because its foundation is not fantasy, but truth. It is not about seeing someone as a symbol of perfection, but as a real human being who contains both beauty and flaws, light and shadow, and loving them for all of it. This depth also brings a kind of freedom. In true love, there is no pressure to constantly impress or perform because the bond is not dependent on external validation. You can be yourself without masks or pretenses and know that the other person will not turn away. Infatuation often forces people into roles. They become actors in each other's idealized scripts. But genuine love strips away those masks and invites authenticity. It allows for silence without discomfort, for vulnerability without fear, and for truth without judgment. When two people can stand together in honesty, without hiding behind appearances, it signals a bond that transcends the shallow impulses of desire. It is also important to understand that depth over appearance does not reject physical attraction or beauty. True love does not ignore the surface. Rather, it integrates it into something more meaningful. Physical attraction may ignite the initial interest, but it does not remain the sole focus. Over time, love matures into a recognition of deeper qualities such as kindness, integrity, courage, or compassion. These qualities often become more beautiful to the one who loves than any external feature. In fact, someone truly in love may find their partner more beautiful over time, even as appearances naturally change, because what they see is not limited to the physical, but extends into the spirit and essence that endures. Ultimately, the difference between infatuation and true love in this regard is stability. Infatuation is like a flame that flares up brightly but burns out quickly because it lacks depth to sustain it. True love is more like a steady fire that warms and endures, because it is fueled not by appearances that inevitably fade, but by the inner reality that only grows richer with time. When love chooses depth over appearance, it creates a connection that is both intimate and lasting, a bond that cannot be shaken by the surface-level changes of life. Growth and wholeness are central to the understanding of true love, because real love does not keep you where you are. It calls you to evolve into who you are meant to become. Infatuation often clings to the present moment, wanting to freeze it in place, savoring the rush of emotion and the thrill of novelty. It thrives on intensity, not longevity, and so it resists change, because change threatens to disturb the fantasy it feeds on. True love, however, welcomes growth. It knows that love cannot remain alive if it does not also transform, and that two people walking together in life must not only share affection but also support each other's unfolding journey toward greater wholeness. This quality of growth is revealed in the way true love pushes individuals to expand beyond their limits. In the presence of such love, you do not feel confined or diminished. Instead, you feel encouraged to rise higher. The one who truly loves you will not keep you small to satisfy their own insecurities, nor will they demand that you abandon your individuality to fit into their mold. Instead, they will see the potential within you and remind you of it when you forget. They will challenge you when you settle for less than you deserve and stand beside you when you take steps into unfamiliar territory. This is not always easy, because growth often involves discomfort, but true love does not shy away from that. It accepts the difficulties of transformation as part of the beauty of the bond. Wholeness, on the other hand, is the deeper dimension of this growth. Infatuation tends to fragment the self, encouraging people to show only the parts that are pleasing, attractive, or impressive. It is a performance of sorts, and performances eventually exhaust the soul. But real love brings integration. It allows both partners to bring forth all parts of themselves, even the ones that are wounded or incomplete. True love does not demand perfection. It allows space for vulnerability, weakness, and growth areas, and in doing so, it invites healing. Wholeness arises when someone feels safe enough to reveal their true self without fear of being rejected. In such a space, the person is not just loved for what they show on the outside, but for the entirety of who they are. This is why love that is genuine often feels like a mirror. The other person reflects back to you not only your light, but also your shadow, and in doing so, they invite you to acknowledge and embrace both. Instead of running from flaws, true love helps you confront them and grow through them. This kind of love becomes a path to self-discovery because the relationship itself turns into a journey of becoming whole. The beloved becomes not merely a source of comfort or excitement, but a catalyst for transformation. Their presence awakens something within you that might have remained dormant without the depth of connection you share. Another sign of this growth-oriented love is that it is reciprocal. Both partners are engaged in the process of becoming. Neither one carries the burden alone. Both inspire and support each other as they move forward. It is not about one person saving or fixing the other, but about two souls walking alongside each other, exchanging encouragement, wisdom, and strength. Infatuation can sometimes create the illusion of growth, but it often centers on dependency, on needing the other to feel whole. True love recognizes that each person must grow within themselves, but that growth becomes richer when nurtured in partnership. This commitment to growth also ensures that the bond does not become stagnant. Infatuation fades when novelty disappears, because it has nothing beyond excitement to sustain it. True love, however, deepens with time because growth continually renews it. Each stage of life reveals new challenges and opportunities, and true love adapts, learns, and evolves alongside them. It is not afraid of change because change only reveals new dimensions of the relationship. The love does not grow weaker with age, but stronger, precisely because both individuals are not the same as they were at the beginning. They are more, and the love has expanded to embrace this evolution. Thus, growth and wholeness are not optional features of true love. They are its very essence. Love that is shallow clings to appearances, resists change, and fears imperfection. But love that is real embraces the journey of becoming, inviting both partners to rise into their highest selves while also feeling safe to be their most authentic selves. In such a relationship, love is not only a bond between two people, but a living force that continually shapes, heals, and expands both hearts. Acceptance of shadow and light is perhaps one of the clearest signs that what binds two people together is true love, and not the fragile illusion of infatuation. Infatuation is rooted in idealization. It clings to a perfect image of the other person and refuses to see beyond it. In that state, flaws are either ignored, denied, or rationalized away because they threaten the dream. But when the glow of infatuation fades and reality emerges with all its imperfections, the illusion often collapses. True love, on the other hand, does not shatter when imperfection is revealed. It embraces the whole person with their virtues and their weaknesses, their beauty and their brokenness, their light and their shadow. It is not afraid of seeing what is hidden because it knows that real intimacy is not about worshipping perfection, but about standing beside reality in its entirety. The shadow represents the parts of a person that are difficult, messy, or uncomfortable. These may be insecurities, past wounds, habits that are not admirable, or aspects of the personality that are not always easy to love. Infatuation tends to run away from these things, retreating into the safety of fantasy. But true love stays. It does not excuse harmful behavior, but it recognizes that being human is complex, and that flaws are not reasons to withdraw love, but opportunities for deeper understanding. To love someone's shadow is not to condone their mistakes, but to acknowledge that those mistakes are part of their story, part of the fabric that makes them who they are. Equally important is the acceptance of the light. Loving someone's light means celebrating their strengths, their gifts, and their potential without envy or competition. Sometimes it is harder to fully accept the light than the shadow because the light can trigger insecurities in others. But true love is not threatened by another's greatness. It delights in it. It feels joy in the other person's successes, honors their talents, and encourages them to shine without holding them back. This kind of love does not dim the other to feel more secure. It supports them to become everything they are capable of being. In the embrace of such love, both shadow and light find balance, and the relationship becomes a safe ground where wholeness can thrive. Acceptance in this way creates intimacy that cannot be replicated by infatuation. When someone feels seen and loved in their totality, they no longer need to hide. They can take off their masks, set down their defenses, and reveal who they truly are. That vulnerability is the foundation of deep trust. Infatuation might produce excitement, but it rarely produces this kind of safety. True love builds it patiently, over time, through consistent presence and acceptance. This is why real love can endure hardship, because both individuals know that even in their weakest moments, they will not be abandoned or reduced to only their mistakes. In this acceptance of shadow and light, love becomes not only a bond, but a teacher. It teaches patience, compassion, and forgiveness. It challenges both partners to accept in others what they struggle to accept in themselves. By loving someone else's shadow, you learn to be gentler with your own. By celebrating someone else's light, you learn that your own brilliance is not a threat, but a gift. In this way, true love becomes a mirror of self-discovery, reflecting back both the beauty and the struggles of being human, while also offering the courage to embrace them. Infatuation can feel intoxicating, but it cannot endure this kind of truth. Only true love has the strength to look directly at both the darkness and the radiance of another person and remain steadfast. This is what makes it rare and profound. To be accepted in your entirety is to feel truly known, and to give that acceptance to another is to offer the most sacred form of love. Enduring connection is one of the most defining signs that love is real and not merely the passing rush of infatuation. Infatuation often burns with intensity at the beginning, filling the heart with excitement and obsession, but its energy is unstable and short-lived. It thrives on novelty, on the thrill of chasing or being chased, on the fantasy of perfection, but when the newness fades or challenges appear, it often falls apart. True love, however, is not weakened by the passing of time or the weight of trials. Instead, it deepens. It is not only a feeling, but a bond that weaves itself into the very fabric of two lives, creating something stable and enduring that cannot easily be undone. This kind of connection is not dependent on constant stimulation or dramatic gestures. Infatuation often needs constant excitement to stay alive, because it cannot survive the quiet or the ordinary. True love, however, is strong enough to remain steady in silence, in routine, and in the mundane rhythms of everyday life. It is revealed not in grand declarations, but in consistent presence, in choosing the other person again and again, even when it is difficult, even when the world offers distractions or doubts. It is the steady flame that continues to burn after the firework of infatuation has long faded from the sky. The endurance of true love is tested most clearly during hardship. Life inevitably brings moments of uncertainty, conflict, and pain, and it is in these moments that the reality of love is shown. Infatuation often collapses under the weight of difficulty, because it was never built on anything strong enough to withstand storms. True love, by contrast, does not retreat when things become hard. It becomes a source of strength, offering support and stability when everything else feels unsteady. The bond endures because it is not based only on temporary pleasure, but on commitment, trust, and a shared sense of belonging. In this way, true love proves itself not in what happens when everything is easy, but in what happens when everything is hard. Another mark of enduring connection is that it survives change. People grow, evolve, and transform over time, and relationships must adjust to these changes. Infatuation usually resists change because it depends on the original fantasy remaining intact. When the other person changes, even naturally, the fantasy no longer fits, and the bond dissolves. True love, however, adapts. It allows room for growth, for new dreams, for shifts in perspective. It remains loyal, not to a fixed image of who the person once was, but to the essence of who they are. Because of this, the connection does not weaken with time. It matures. It becomes richer, layered with shared memories, tested by challenges, and strengthened by resilience. Enduring love also means presence even in absence. Two people truly connected do not need constant proximity to feel bonded. They carry one another within even when apart, and the connection remains alive through trust and inner knowing. Infatuation often clings to constant contact because without it the feeling begins to fade. True love does not need that intensity to survive. It exists beyond circumstances, rooted in something deeper than convenience or proximity. The connection is woven into the soul, and so it does not unravel with distance or difficulty. This kind of love also creates a profound sense of belonging In the presence of true love, one feels at home, not because the other person provides escape from the world, but because they are a safe ground where you can rest, where your soul feels understood. That sense of home does not vanish when storms arise. It remains, and that stability is what gives enduring love its unshakable quality. Infatuation can feel like being swept away, but true love feels like being anchored, secure, steady, and held even in the chaos of life. Such endurance does not mean that true love is free of struggle or conflict. There will be disagreements, disappointments, and moments of distance, but what sets it apart is the commitment to return, to repair, to remain. Infatuation is quick to abandon when the first cracks appear, but true love is patient, choosing reconciliation over retreat. The enduring connection is not about never breaking, but about never giving up, about weaving together again what may have been torn. In this way, enduring connection is the quiet strength of true love. It is not the fleeting high of passion, but the steady rhythm of commitment, presence, and loyalty. It is the assurance that love is not merely a temporary feeling, but a lasting bond that weathers time, change, and hardship without dissolving. It is what transforms a spark into a flame that continues to burn, providing warmth and light long after the thrill of infatuation has faded. Sacred union of souls is the deepest expression of true love, for it reaches beyond the level of mere attraction or emotional excitement and enters the realm of meaning, destiny, and purpose. Infatuation may create the illusion of unity, but it is usually confined to the intensity of feelings or the temporary merging of desires. True love, however, feels like a meeting arranged by something greater, as though two paths that once wandered separately have found their crossing point. This union cannot be reduced to chance or convenience. It carries with it a sense of inevitability, a recognition that the bond has a depth that transcends ordinary explanation. It feels less like possession and more like recognition, as if two souls have remembered each other in a world that often forgets what matters most. When love takes the form of sacred union, it is not only about the joy of companionship, but also about awakening something profound within each partner. The beloved becomes more than just another person in your life. They become a mirror reflecting the truths of your soul, both the ones you are proud of and the ones you have long denied. Through them, you discover yourself more clearly, not because they shape you into what they want, but because their presence calls forth what has always been within you. In this way, love becomes not merely a relationship, but a spiritual path, guiding both individuals toward deeper self-knowledge and greater alignment with who they are meant to be. This sacred quality is also found in the way such love connects with the eternal rather than the temporary. Infatuation thrives on the present moment's thrill, but has no vision for the future. True love looks beyond the now, seeing not only the current joy but also the potential of a shared destiny. The bond becomes a foundation upon which a life can be built, a partnership that weathers seasons, a force that contributes to the unfolding of both lives in harmony with something larger than themselves. It is not about clinging desperately to each other, but about walking together with trust that the connection has a purpose beyond personal satisfaction. Sacred union also carries a sense of reverence. To love someone at this depth is to hold them not as an object of desire, but as a soul worthy of honor. You recognize the uniqueness of their existence, the mystery of their being, and you treat the relationship as something fragile yet powerful, something to be nurtured with care. Infatuation often seeks to consume or control, but true love protects and cherishes. It knows that the beloved is not there to fill every void or erase every pain, but to walk alongside in the sacred journey of becoming whole. This awareness shifts the relationship from grasping need into generous giving, from insecurity into reverence, from fleeting passion into enduring devotion. The sacred union of souls is also marked by a harmony that cannot be forced. It is not that two people agree on everything or never face conflict, but that their differences do not divide them. Instead, those differences become part of the greater wholeness they create together. In infatuation, differences often become cracks that widen until the bond breaks. In true love, they are threads woven into the fabric of unity, making the connection stronger, more diverse, and more resilient. Each partner contributes something unique to the union, and together they form a partnership that is richer than what either could create alone. There is also a timeless quality in such a union. It often feels as though the connection is not entirely new, but rather a continuation of something that existed before, as though the souls have known each other in some way beyond this lifetime. This sense of familiarity is not an illusion of infatuation, but a deep recognition that transcends ordinary logic. It gives the relationship a grounding that feels unshakable, as if no matter what happens in the external world, the inner bond remains. This is why true love, when experienced as sacred union, often feels like destiny, not a rigid fate that removes choice, but a path chosen freely that nonetheless carries the weight of profound significance. Ultimately, the sacred union of souls is love at its highest form, where two individuals come together not to lose themselves, but to discover themselves more deeply. It is not about perfection, but about truth, not about escape, but about awakening. Infatuation may provide moments of ecstasy, but it cannot create this kind of depth, because it does not recognize the soul, only the surface. True love, in contrast, sees the eternal in the other, honors it, and joins with it, creating a bond that is not only emotional and physical, but spiritual, a union that transcends time and reaches into the very essence of what it means to love. True love reveals itself not in the rush of passion, but in the quiet strength that endures when passion fades. It sees beyond appearances, inspiring growth and wholeness, accepting both the shadow and the light, and proving itself through lasting connection. At its highest form, it becomes a sacred union of souls, a bond that transcends time and circumstance, carrying within it the power to awaken the deepest truths of who we are. Infatuation may dazzle with intensity, but it is fleeting. Love that is real does not fade. It deepens, it evolves, and it anchors us in meaning. To recognize it is to find not just another person, but the reflection of eternity in their presence, the kind of love that does not come and go, but remains, transforming both lives forever.